Look at Big X the plug on my metal glasses. Man, they tripping, bro.
That clip caught everything. BigXThaPlug outside a Dallas strip club. New Year's confetti on the ground. Pure shock in his voice. His homie had just been shot in the head, but what nobody saw coming was who allegedly shared the footage, because it didn't come from his camp. And once you see how it got out, everything changes. Let's get into it. A New Year's nightmare in Dallas. Look, when you step into the club game in Dallas, especially on a night like New Year's Eve, you already know that energy can flip at any moment. The city's rap scene has been through the ringer over the past few years, losing legends and watching beefs tear apart what could have been a united front. So when the Pink House Dallas announced its grand opening for December 31st, 2025, folks were hyped, new spot, fresh vibes, and some of the city's hottest artists pulling up to bring in 2026. The lineup was stacked, and right there at the top of the bill was BigXThaPlug, the Dallas native, who had been running up numbers with platinum plaques and mainstream crossover appeal. Now, if you've been sleeping on Big X, let me put you on real quick. This cat came out of the Dallas scene swinging, blending that southern trap sound with a little country twang that caught everybody off guard. His joint Texas went double platinum, racking up over 330 million streams. Then, came through and hit triple platinum status. The man was on a whole different trajectory, collaborating with everybody from Rokama to Jelly Roll and even Shabuzi on some country rap crossover heat. His album, I Hope You're Happy, dropped in August 2025 and showed the world that Big X wasn't just a one-trick pony. He was versatile, hungry, and destined for greatness. But here's the thing about success in the rap game, especially when you come from the streets. Not everybody celebrates your wins. Some folks watch from the shadows, waiting for their moment. And Big X had his fair share of legal troubles leading up to this night. Back in February 2025, he got popped for unlawful firearm possession. Then again in August 2025, same story, pulled over with straps and some loud, which forced him to cancel album events. The streets were talking, blogs were reporting, and the heat was definitely building around his name. But through all of that, Big X kept pushing forward, kept making music, and kept his circle tight. And speaking of that circle, there was one name that kept popping up right alongside Big X. Z the Wizard, real name Zachary Cannon Grant Fields, though some reports had variations on that spelling. 25 years young, hailing straight out of Oak Cliff in South Dallas, Z was the definition of a come-up story. Dude had dreams of making it to the league, playing football until an injury derailed those plans. But instead of letting that setback define him, he pivoted to music and found his calling in the booth. His projects like Hood Prophet and Wiz Who Is Z showcased a different kind of rapper, one who focused on motivation, grinding, and survival, rather than just dissing Opps and talking reckless. The Dallas Observer even named Z the Wizard among the top 20 rappers to watch in the DFW area. Dude was putting in the work, stacking up about 25,000 monthly Spotify listeners and building a loyal fan base track by track. Then came the moment that every independent artist dreams about. In August 2025, Z signed to Future's Free Bands label. That cosign was huge. G Herbo and Rod Wave had shown him love, and suddenly the path to mainstream success seemed clearer than ever. The new Dallas movement was real, with artists like Zillionaire Doe, Montana 700, Head Huncho Amir, and Himothy Chung, all pushing the narrative that Dallas rap could thrive without the internal beefs that had plagued the scene since MO3's murder back in 2020. So when New Year's Eve rolled around and both Big X and Z pulled up to the Pink House for the grand opening, it should have been nothing but a celebration. The clock was ticking toward midnight, the bottles were popping, and the club was packed with folks ready to ring in the new year with some live performances and good energy. Big X was there to rock the crowd, and Z was right there with him, his day one, his mentee, his homie who he had brought on tour and co-signed at every opportunity. The vibe was supposed to be about unity, about showing the world that Dallas artists could support each other and elevate together. But the streets don't take holidays, fam. They don't care about resolutions or fresh starts or any of that feel-good energy. Around 3:45 to 3:50 in the morning on January 1st, 2026, something popped off in the parking lot. Reports indicate that a dispute broke out. Some say it started inside the club, possibly over Z the Wizard throwing money during his performance. Others say it escalated when folks stepped outside and words got exchanged. Whatever the initial spark, the situation went from 0 to 100 real quick. Eyewitness accounts describe individuals approaching Z, accusing him of stealing something. Then a fight broke out, and according to reports, guns were drawn, possibly from vehicles parked nearby. We're talking about 2 pistols and 2 ARs, if you believe the street testimonies. What happened next was chaos. An exchange of gunfire erupted in that parking lot, and when the smoke cleared, 5 people had been hit. 4 victims were transported to hospitals with varying conditions, but the one who caught the worst of it was Z the Wizard. Z took multiple shots, including one to the head. BigXThaPlug was inside the club when the shooting started. According to reports, he ducked behind the bar during the chaos and managed to escape unharmed. But when he made it outside and learned what had happened to his boy, the reaction was caught on camera in a moment that would soon go viral across every platform imaginable. There he was, wearing an orange jacket, standing in that pink-lit parking lot, leaning against a car in complete shock.
Boy, look at BigXThaPlug on my metal glasses. Man, they tripping, bro.
That footage captured something that can't be faked: raw, unfiltered grief in real time. Big X processing the news that his homie, the guy he had been building with, the artist whose career he had been championing, had just been shot in the head on a night that was supposed to be about celebration. The clip spread like wildfire, racking up over 100,000 views across platforms as people shared, commented, and speculated about what had gone down. The Dallas Police Department received over 750 calls that night about celebratory gunfire from New Year's Eve festivities, which complicated their ability to investigate the Pink House shooting in real time. Meanwhile, social media was doing what social media does, amplifying everything, mixing facts with rumors, and turning a tragedy into a spectacle. And that's when things got really ugly, because somebody decided to take that disturbing footage and make it even worse. Viral footage and street conspiracies. See, when tragedy strikes in the hip-hop community, there's always a twisted element that follows. The vultures circle, the rumor mill spins up, and suddenly everybody with a phone and a social media account becomes an investigator, a journalist, or worse, an instigator. What happened in the days following the Pink House shooting was a perfect storm of grief, speculation, and internet chaos that would have lasting consequences for everyone involved. First, let's talk about Z the Wizard's condition. Initial reports spread like wildfire claiming that Z had died at the scene, but his affiliates, including Montana 700, quickly pushed back on social media, urging people to stop spreading misinformation and asking for prayers because Z was still fighting. The family had to deal with the trauma of nearly losing their loved one while simultaneously battling false death announcements online. Z was hooked up to life support, clinging on while doctors did everything they could. For several agonizing days, the Dallas rap community held its breath. Then, on January 5th, 2026, the worst was confirmed. Z the Wizard had succumbed to his injuries. 25 years old, a father, an artist on the rise who had just secured the bag with a major label deal, gone because of what appears to have been a senseless parking lot altercation. The loss sent shockwaves through the industry. Tributes poured in from across the hip-hop world, and streams of Z's music surged as fans old and new sought to connect with his catalog one last time. But while genuine mourning was happening, something darker was brewing online. Remember that viral footage of BigXThaPlug's reaction? The one showing him in shock after learning about Z's head wound? Well, rumors started circulating that his Opps, meaning his rivals or enemies in the street sense, had gotten hold of that video and were sharing it specifically to taunt and mock him. The narrative being pushed was that the shooting had been a targeted hit aimed at Big X himself, and that Z the Wizard caught the fade meant for his homie. Now, here's where we need to pump the brakes and separate facts from fiction. Despite all the talk online, there's no confirmed evidence that BigXThaPlug's Opps directly shared any post-shooting video of him. The reaction clip went viral organically because that's what happens when something emotional and shocking gets captured on camera in the age of smartphones. Outlets like My Mixtape's and other hip-hop news accounts shared it, blogs embedded it in articles, and regular folks reposted it across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Whether actual rivals amplified it to disrespect Big X, or whether that narrative was created by people speculating online, remains unclear. Police haven't confirmed any targeting, and no evidence has surfaced proving Opps orchestrated the leak, but that didn't stop the conspiracy theories from multiplying. And trust me, they got wild. The most explosive theory circulating online suggested that BigXThaPlug himself allegedly shot his own friend. Yeah, you read that right. Some folks on YouTube and Facebook started dissecting grainy footage from the parking lot, claiming frame-by-frame analysis showed Big X firing the shot that hit Z in the head. The narrative suggested there was some internal dispute over money, music deals, or personal beef that led to betrayal at the highest level. Let's be absolutely clear here. No forensic evidence supports this theory. The video being analyzed is shaky, shot at night, and captured during what multiple sources describe as an exchange of gunfire from multiple parties. Big X and Z the Wizard were publicly close friends, like really close. Big X had been mourning Z online, and by all accounts, their relationship was solid. Dallas police haven't implicated Big X in any way, and the investigation is ongoing without any charges being filed against him or anyone in his entourage as of January 15th, 2026. But you know how the internet works. Big X's history of gun-related arrests fed into the narrative that he stays strapped and could be capable of violence. Critics online connected dots that probably don't connect, comparing the situation to other famous rapper betrayals throughout hip-hop history. The echo chambers did their thing, and suddenly, a grieving man who lost his homie was being accused of the most heinous act imaginable. Another theory that gained traction was the targeted hit hypothesis. This one suggested that the shooting was aimed directly at BigXThaPlug because of his rising fame and potential beefs in the Dallas rap scene, but Z the Wizard ended up catching the bullets instead. Proponents of this theory pointed to Big X's success, his platinum plaques, his crossover collaborations, his growing mainstream appeal, and suggested that jealousy or unresolved street beef motivated someone to pull up on his crew. Some YouTube breakdowns claimed the incident could have most likely been targeting Big X or someone from that entourage. The problem with this theory is that police described the shooting as stemming from a random altercation, not a premeditated assassination. No evidence of prior threats against Big X has surfaced publicly. While it's true that success in the rap game can breed enemies, and Big X has had minor beefs in the past, issues with Lil CJ Casino over a robbery situation, Finesse 2 Times over a collab, and Big Yavo over a phrase, none of those disputes have been linked to this shooting. Then there was the footage that really had people disturbed. Beyond Big X's reaction video, a separate clip surfaced, allegedly showing the actual moment of Z the Wizard's shooting. This graphic video, recorded from a phone with visible watermarks, captured the chaos of the parking lot, people running, muzzle flashes visible, and Z reportedly collapsing after being hit. Commentary in the video identified Z, and replies across social media called it deeply disturbing, with many urging deletion due to its graphic nature. Some speculated that this footage was shared by Opps to claim responsibility or to taunt Big X's camp. Others suggested it was evidence of friendly fire from Z's own group, though police haven't verified any such claims. Z's memorial was a peaceful candlelight vigil held on January 11th, 2026 at Inspiring Body of Christ Church in Dallas. About 100 people attended, many dressed in blue, Z's color. His mother spoke, a pastor addressed gun violence, and the crowd chanted, "This life matters." Police were present, but no Opps appeared, and no drama occurred. The viral rumors about funeral footage were debunked as misinformation designed to generate views. Z the Wizard's mother, Leanne Grant, started a GoFundMe seeking $100,000 for funeral costs and family support. She faced criticism online for the amount requested, but defended her son's legacy in interviews, noting his role as a provider for his family. Meanwhile, the Pink House Club faced backlash for poor security and for posting about dancer earnings shortly after the tragedy, a tone-deaf move that further inflamed the situation. There was also speculation about a PR stunt theory, the idea that the incident was exaggerated or partially staged for publicity, similar to claims about Big X's August 2025 arrest being a ruse to boost album sales. Some social media users questioned whether the viral video was leaked intentionally to spark outrage and drive streams, but this theory falls apart when you consider that Z the Wizard actually died. You can't stage a funeral for clout when there's a real casket and a grieving mother speaking about her son's dreams. What this tragic situation revealed was a hip-hop community grappling with the same demons it has faced for decades: violence, misinformation, exploitation, and the difficulty of separating genuine mourning from internet speculation. And unfortunately, the pattern is all too familiar. History repeating and a scene in crisis. If you've been following hip-hop for any length of time, you know that the circumstances surrounding the Pink House shooting aren't unique. The combination of rising artists, violent incident, viral footage, and endless conspiracy theories has played out before, many times, with names far bigger than BigXThaPlug or Z the Wizard. And understanding that historical context helps explain why the streets and the internet reacted the way they did to this Dallas tragedy. Let's start with the most obvious comparison: Tupac Shakur, September 1996, Las Vegas, after a Mike Tyson fight. Pac was riding shotgun in Suge Knight's BMW when a white Cadillac pulled up and unloaded on him. He survived initially, fought for 6 days, then passed from internal bleeding at just 25 years old, the same age as Z the Wizard when he was killed. The case went unsolved for nearly 3 decades, which allowed conspiracy theories to flourish like weeds in an untended garden. People claimed Tupac faked his death and was living in Cuba, citing his alias Machiavelli, a reference to the Renaissance philosopher Machiavelli, who supposedly advocated faking one's death to fool enemies. Others pointed to the posthumous album The Don Columinati, the 7-Day Theory, released under that alias, as evidence that Pac had planned his disappearance. Alleged sightings popped up everywhere from Malaysia to New Mexico. Even now, after Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was finally arrested in 2023 for allegedly orchestrating the hit as gang retaliation, some fans refused to believe the official story. Then there were the theories about Suge Knight ordering the hit to prevent Tupac from leaving Death Row Records, calculating that posthumous album sales would be more profitable than a living artist who wanted out. Others claimed Sean Diddy Combs paid $1 million bounty via Crips gang members to have Pac taken out as part of the East Coast-West Coast beef. The fact that Suga was in the car when it happened only fueled suspicion rather than clearing his name. 6 months later, the notorious B.I.G. was killed in a similar drive-by shooting in Los Angeles, and that case remains officially unsolved to this day. Theories suggested it was retaliation for Tupac, possibly orchestrated by Death Row using corrupt LAPD officers. Biggie's family even sued the police department in 2007, alleging involvement in the murder. Detective Russell Poole spent years investigating connections between the Rampart scandal cops and the killing. Others theorized that Diddy hired Crips for Tupac's hit, and Biggie's death was blowback, or that Diddy himself benefited from both deaths as Life After Death became a posthumous classic. The pattern continued with Nipsey Hussle in 2019. Ermias Asghedom was shot outside his Marathon clothing store in Los Angeles by Eric Holder, who was later convicted in 2022. But despite the conviction confirming it as a personal dispute, Holder reportedly felt disrespected during a conversation about snitching. Conspiracy theories exploded online. The most popular claimed Nipsey was killed to stop his documentary on Dr. Sebi, the herbalist who claimed to have natural cures for diseases like AIDS and cancer. Theorists alleged pharmaceutical companies or the Illuminati silenced Nipsey to protect profits. Videos pushing this narrative racked up millions of views. XXXTentacion's 2018 murder spawned its own set of conspiracies. Despite 4 men being convicted for the robbery turned homicide outside a Florida motorcycle dealership, some fans blamed Drake based on a since-deleted Instagram post, where X allegedly wrote, "If anyone tries to kill me, it was a Champagne Poppy. I'm snitching RN." The defense attorneys even tried to subpoena Drake as a witness to introduce reasonable doubt, though no evidence ever linked him to the crime. To this day, people still bring up the theory, with boxer Ryan Garcia recently making unsubstantiated claims that were quickly debunked. So when the BigXThaPlug situation went down, the playbook was already written. Rising artist with street ties? Check. Shooting at a public event? Check. Viral footage capturing the immediate aftermath? Check. Unsolved case with no arrests? Check. Of course the conspiracy theories were going to multiply. Of course people were going to claim it was a targeted hit, or worse, an inside job. That's what happens when the hip-hop community loses one of its own under violent circumstances, and the answers don't come fast enough. But here's what makes the Dallas situation particularly painful. The New Dallas movement was specifically designed to prevent this. After MO3 was murdered on a Dallas highway in November 2020, a killing that Yella Beezy was later charged with orchestrating through a hitman, the local scene was fractured. Beefs that had been simmering boiled over, and the violence threatened to consume everything good about DFW hip-hop. Artists like Zillionaire Doe, Montana 700, Head Huncho Amir, Z the Wizard, and Himothi Chung came together to push a different message: unity over division, collaboration over competition, community building over street politics. BigXThaPlug was part of that movement, using his rising platform to champion younger artists like Z the Wizard. He brought Z on tour, co-signed his music, and showed what it looked like when established acts lifted up emerging talent instead of viewing them as threats. Z the Wizard himself was known for positive messaging in his tracks, lyrics, songs about motivation, grinding, and survival, rather than dissing ops and escalating beefs. His catalog on projects like Hood Prophet and collaborations with Young Don reflected someone who understood that hip-hop could be aspirational without being self-destructive. And yet, despite all those efforts, violence still found its way into their circle. The exact sequence of events that night, who started the argument, why it escalated, whether weapons were retrieved from cars or brought into the club, remains under investigation. Dallas police have not named suspects, and the case is being treated as a homicide following Z's death. There are unconfirmed rumors about friendly fire from Z's own affiliate, but police haven't verified this. The motive remains officially unknown. What we do know is that BigXThaPlug has not made extensive public statements about the incident, though his actions speak volumes. Reports indicate that he fulfilled 3 of Z the Wizard's unfulfilled wishes shortly after his passing, though specifics haven't been shared publicly. Head honcho Amir posted a heartfelt Instagram message calling Z a cool, genuine, loving, respectful person, and noting their bond since childhood. The community rallied around the family while simultaneously fending off misinformation and exploitation. The club where it happened, Pink House Dallas, has its own complicated history. Reports noted that the venue's manager had previous ties to high-crime locations like V-Live Dallas, raising questions about security protocols and the wisdom of hosting major events without adequate protection. The fact that the club posted about dancer earnings shortly after the tragedy demonstrated a disturbing disconnect between business as usual and basic human decency. As of January 15, 2026, the investigation remains open with no arrests announced. The Dallas rap scene continues to mourn while simultaneously pushing back against the narratives that would turn this tragedy into entertainment. Streams of Z the Wizard's music have surged as fans discover his catalog, which feels bittersweet, the attention he deserved arriving only after he was gone. BigXThaPlug's career continues. His track, Hell at Night, was charting on Billboard in early January 2026, and his platinum status ensures he'll remain a force in the industry. But the loss of his close friend casts a shadow over everything. You can hear it in that viral footage, see it in the slump of his shoulders as he processes the news. No amount of success can shield you from the pain of losing someone you came up with. The broader lesson here, if there is one, is that hip-hop's relationship with violence is complex, cyclical, and resistant to easy solutions. Movements like New Dallas can push for unity, but individual incidents can still occur. Conspiracy theories will always fill the void when answers are scarce. Social media will amplify the worst alongside the best, and families like Z the Wizards will be left to grieve while the internet dissects their tragedy for content. What happened at the Pink House on New Year's Eve 2025 was senseless. A young man with everything ahead of him, a record deal, a supportive community, music that resonated, was taken because of what police describe as a parking lot altercation. Whether it was targeted, random, or something in between may never be fully known. But what's certain is that Z the Wizard deserved better. BigXThaPlug lost a brother, and the Dallas rap scene lost another artist to the violence it had been working so hard to leave behind. Rest in peace, Z the Wizard. Long live the Wizard. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click on one of the suggested videos on your screen right now for more amazing content.